I call Lord Woolley of Woodford to ask the first oral question.
I beg leave to ask my question on the order paper.
Baroness Scott of Bybrook.
My Lords, this government campaigned on commitments to tackle prejudice, racism and discrimination. That is why the Prime Minister established the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities last July to examine all aspects of continuing racial and ethnic disparities in Britain. The Commission has focused on areas including education, employment, health and criminal justice system, and the Commission is currently finalising its report. This will be submitted to the Prime Minister shortly.
Lord Woolley.
My Lords, COVID-19 has had a devastating and disproportionate impact on Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities. This disease has laid bare and exacerbated racial structural inequalities. Does the Minister agree with me that when the Commission for Racial Disparity reports in a few days' time, it must include a COVID-19 race equality strategy to comprehensively deal with inequalities in health, employment, education, and housing?
My Lords, on the 26th of February, we released a second report on the progress being made to tackle COVID-19 disparities experienced by individuals from ethnic minority backgrounds, and I'm sure it will be part of the outcomes of the Commission that the Prime Minister will shortly receive.
Baroness Verma.
My Lords, given the spotlight put on levels of racism still found across all levels of society, public, private and civil society institutions, will the government, following the review, also review its own processes across Whitehall in order to root out all barriers that prevent people of colour to access the same opportunities as their white colleagues? My Lords, there seems to be a gap between when they come in at entry level to senior and middle management. And would my noble friend meet with me and others who understand these issues very well, as someone who has had personal experience herself, to meet with us to help shift the dial?
My noble friend is correct, but the government is campaigning on those commitments to tackle racism and discrimination. Equally, within the civil service, they are committed to increasing ethnic minority representation at senior levels across all government departments and their agency. And we have taken a number of clear steps in recent years that are already having a very positive impact. I am certainly very happy to discuss at a meeting with my noble friend with the department.
Lord Hastings of Scariswick.
My Lords, 22 years ago, Sir William Macpherson declared the Metropolitan Police to be institutionally racist, and the law was changed. But little has changed. Today, the Guardian editorial, in the light of Saturday's grossly over-the-top and aggressive use of police power against women, states the Commissioner declared the service no longer institutionally racist, while a surge in stop and search has alienated many people of colour. This weekend, many more women and men are questioning whom exactly the police serves. End of quote. Isn't it time to abandon the unaccountable notion of operational independence and direct the police to abandon racist practices, notably stop and search?
My Lords, sorry, I've lost my place now where I was going to give an answer on this. There obviously was a large report on earlier in this last few years on the police and racism within that organisation. But we will continue to work, and the Commission will continue to look at what more we can do to ensure that all the systems, both education, policing, etc., have no racism for the future.
Lord Hendy.
My Lords, The Office for National Statistics analysis in October 2020 showed that the ethnicity pay gap between white and ethnic minority employees has narrowed, but persists with marked regional variations. The largest is in London at 23.8%, and the smallest is in Wales at 1.4%. There are gaps also between ethnicities. Will the Noble Lord the Minister consider amending legislation to impose a duty on employers to report the ethnicity pay gaps in parallel to those under Section 78 of the Equality Act 2010 in respect of the gender pay gap?
My Lords, the Government is already looking at this issue and will report in due course. But I think the important thing to note is that because of the pandemic, we look at unemployment among all the people of this country, and for that aim there has been a £30 million investment in plans for jobs, which will include, obviously, looking at the issues that ethnic minorities have in particular.
Baroness Hussainecki.
Institutional and structural racism is real and affects every aspect of Black and minority ethnic people's lives. A recent report showed that Black women are still 4 times more likely than white women to die in pregnancy or childbirth in the UK, and 85% of Black people are not confident they would be treated the same as a white person by the police. So, my Lords, the Government seems to be taking a rather piecemeal approach. So can I ask the Minister whether this Government will take its responsibilities seriously and bring forward a plan for a comprehensive race equality strategy, and in doing so, implement the outstanding recommendations to reviews it commissioned, such as the 2016 Lamy Review, the 2017 Angiolini Review into deaths in police custody?
My Lords, the Race Disparity Unit has been supporting the Department of Health in driving positive actions in maternity services to improve, quite rightly, the outcomes for ethnic minority women, including the NHS Help Us to Help You campaign. But as I said before, the Commission will bring all these things together, and we will look at moving this work forward, both on the back of all those reviews that we've had in the past and taking them all into account.
Baroness Wilcox of Newport.
My noble friend Baroness Lawrence's recent report exploring the disproportionate impact of the coronavirus crisis on Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities concluded that the virus has both exposed structural racism in the UK and itself fueled racism. It wasn't just a random act of above average infection rates. It was as a result of decades of social and economic inequalities, decades of structural injustice, inequality and discrimination. When does the government intend to publish the delayed report of the Commission on Race and Ethnic Disparities, which was submitted to the Prime Minister on the 28th of February?
As I've said before, the Commission has one final meeting to finalise its report. It will then go to the Prime Minister, and then it will come back for us to look at its recommendations.
Baroness Deach.
My Lords, David Baddiel's latest book is called Jews Don't Count. Bigotry against Jews in Israel is rampant in our universities, from the top administration through the academics to the students, as evidenced by the Community Security Trust. The problem is institutional, for example, at Bristol University right now. The university's UK report last November on racial harassment ignored it. Will the Minister make sure that the Office for Students uses its current consultation on harassment on campus to bring forward plans to address anti-Semitism?
We certainly will, and I will take that back to the department on behalf of the noble lady.
Lord Taylor of Warwick.
My Lords, in reality, there is only one race, the human race. What steps are the government taking to address the fact that for the first time in 6 years, there are currently no Black chairmen or chairwomen, chief executives or finance directors in the FTSE 100 from the Black community?
My Lords, this is something that the Government has been working on for a long time and will continue to work on with the private sector, particularly on increasing the number of ethnic communities that are at the top of those organisations.
Lord Bourne of Aberystwyth.
My Lords, will my noble friend commend the work done to combat racism and discrimination in football through Kick It Out campaigning? I know the government is supportive. And will she lend support to the many clubs campaigning to end discrimination, like my own club, Leicester City?
My Lords, can I first of all congratulate Leicester City on being third in the league and their 5-0 win yesterday. But my Lords, my honourable friend is absolutely right. Racism and any form of discrimination has no place in football or society, but there's still more to do. However, the government continues to liaise closely with the football authorities to tackle this issue.